Go. All
Hey,
right.
what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Thirsty Thursday live stream. I have my buddy Kenny today.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm just all mixed
Oh,
up.
sorry. No big deal.
It's been quite a few couple weeks. I haven't made really a video in about 3 weeks, and Thirsty Thursday. I think the last one was with Lee Valentine. So
Nice.
today we have Kenny. And Kenny, who are you? Introduce yourself, and let's get the party
Yeah.
started.
So I'm born and raised in Southern California, South Orange County. I'm actually a cybersecurity student who is also using Hack the Box Academy as a way to supplement studies and getting the CPTS. Also, they're also planning on going for the CAPE later this summer. Yeah, let's do that. And so I'm here to talk about a lot of stuff, some CTS, some pen test to talk about pen testing, entrepreneurship, because I plan to start my own pen testing firm here, hopefully within the next week or two. Talk about certs, jobs, conferences, possibly DEF CON later this summer. Yeah, let's do this.
Awesome. Thank you for the intro, Kenny. I really appreciate it. So, obviously for those folks that don't know what the CPTS is, maybe they're new to pen testing, maybe they always hear about OSCP.
Yeah.
How has your CPTS experience been, and what was some challenges that you overcame, and
So
for those folks out there that are looking to get this?
Yeah, as I'm sure from Pat's video, he mentioned that he kind of struggled a little bit, mainly with the Active Directory portion. For me, it was actually the complete opposite. I think if you and hopefully this is not TMI, but flag 3, I want to say, was my most difficult one. But yeah, it was fun it's, as you can see, this is it. Basically, there's a 10-day. Basically, it's a very intense 10-day exam put forth by Hack the Box. I ended up my report ended up being 180 pages when it was done. He mentioned it was over 200. So it gives you a sense of. We ended up having to do. You're going through an entire simulated network and submitting a finding and reporting everything that you find. So it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, my hardest one I think was flag number 9.
Yeah, that's the opposite of me.
Yeah. So that was the one. But everyone has their pros and cons. So for the report, because I did fail the first time, I think I've said this in my review. So because of my report, so how important is it for not only report in pen testing, but in Hack the Box
So reporting, I mean, the reason why Hack the Box has such strict reporting requirements is because, I mean, think of if you coming from the perspective, since you're actually in the field, you've actually done real world pen tests. How important is it for the clients? I mean, that's really what they're looking for. They want you to do something as if you're doing it for a real customer. And so can you explain a little bit about what reporting requirements your pen test clients have had? Because I think that kind of goes in hand with it.
Yeah, most definitely. And for anyone out there that wants to know this, so when someone comes and when you're working for a firm, when you're working for yourself, whatever, these clients aren't really. It doesn't really matter if you exploit a new vulnerability, you exploit a new CVE, you create a new exploit to come up with a 0-day. They don't care about all that. They care about the report that you're delivering because that's what they're really paying for, right? And the understanding of how can we remediate this and how can we prevent this from happening again, or from a bad actor or an adversary, right? So that's what's super, super important. That a lot of I know a lot of good testers that really can't communicate that and convey that to a client. Right. So that's super, super important. Hacking and doing all the pen testing, it's not all bells and whistles and unicorns and butterflies, right? There's a lot of research, there's a lot of documentation.
There's
a lot of
documentation not only helps with getting the cut with conveying to the customer, hey, here's how I was able to grab this password. Here's what you need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. It's also the fact that it needs to be the report needs to basically be as if you're doing something for a, real client. And yeah, the real clients are very, I'm sure there's a lot of, especially like when you do the executive summary portion, many people aren't going to know, what it is that you're doing. And so to have basically a high level, sorry, I've got notifications galore.
No, it's fine. And that is super important as well, right?
Yeah.
Because the executive summary, just to convey the technical aspect of a report, and I don't want to say dumb it down or put it in layman terms or put it in non-technical terms, is a skill in itself, right? So, that's a little bit of the CPTS, folks. So hopefully you guys get a little taste of it. And I really like to talk about that exam because it was one of my hardest exams. Obviously, I always say this, I make a joke, like my A+ was probably one of my hardest exams, but this one was right there with it, right? Like it took a lot of brain power.
Really, the A+ was hard for you? That's interesting.
Yeah, I took my A+ 19 years ago.
Okay. And that was back when it was brand new. Yeah, I could see why it was a bit more difficult back then.
Yeah. And it was, you have to understand Southbridge, Northbridge, all these little, IDE connectors and motherboards and
more so it was, I guess it's a little bit different now that the connectors are a bit less complex. And I guess when you're dealing with hardware, that makes sense. Like I said, I built my first system when I was 15. So, I mean, I would probably be a lot better at that now, but
exactly.
So yeah.
Cool. And I forgot to put this in the, this little saying, like, if you guys have any questions throughout the stream,
of course.
We leave it, like I normally leave it to like the last 20 minutes of the stream and then like go through that for the Q&A. And I see a whole bunch of people saying we're back. And I want to put this out there. I put this in my video because I was getting a lot of messages asking if I'm okay, where have I been? Obviously, I was taking care of stuff for my father and some personal stuff, and I traveled. I was in Romania. I was dealing with some stuff as well. So thank you for all the support and love. I just want to put that out there that I'm live, and whoever's watching, I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Kind of have the kind of very familiar stuff because went back in. Oh, is the audio okay?
Yeah, you're good. I'm listening.
So back in 2022, my dad had died of dementia, so I kind of know what that's like.
Yeah, my mother passed away too, so all I have is dad left, so that's why I'm like, oh, don't fuck around with your health, man.
I know.
Just try to stay here as long as we can have you. All right, so we talk about CPTS, right? We talk about the reporting.
Yeah.
And so what about like other certifications? We want to touch on these certs.
Yeah, so I mean,
go ahead. Like, what is your take on?
I honestly, I think on my bucket, I do have the CRTO on my bucket list as well as TCM. Anything that is comparable to the CPTS in terms of cost, I'm open to those. Full stop. I think the one issue is the fact that there's like HR is so behind the times. Like you go to every job listing on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on even, ZipRecruiter to some extent. Everything is 10-year-old, 15-year-old certs. And I think with that are way more, that are like for the OSCP, you're paying for 2/3 more than CAPE to get maybe
less
half of CPTS,
So like I never took the new exam. I don't know too much about the OSCP and how it's really structured, but I took CRTO, I took PMPT, I took CPTS, and I wanted, just man to man, friend to friend. Like if you already have CPTS, I would not go for PMPT.
No.
The
Yeah.
reason
All
being,
right.
I think that's like the stepping
A step
stone
down.
would be PMPT, then go to CPTS.
Yeah, but if you already have the CPTS, it's like, why bother? It's like pointless.
Yeah,
What about
yeah,
the CRTO? Because I heard it does have. I heard that I have seen that show up on job descriptions of
yeah.
people.
CRTO doesn't really overlap because now we're using Cobalt Strike, we're
Yeah.
using Red Team with
Mhm.
different invasion technique, different stuff that
Yeah.
the CPTS
Of
doesn't
course.
offer. But definitely like zero point security is awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the Discord people are dickheads,
Yeah.
but that's no here or there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like I think at the end of the day, like whatever
Yep.
whatever you're seeing on the internet, whatever you're seeing on these job descriptions,
Yeah.
like just see where your focus is at, and if you
Yeah.
want to go down that route.
Yeah.
But having the CPTS already going backwards is, unless
Is
like you land a gig and they say, okay, you need this certification for whatever reason, then you can,
client. Yeah, I've seen a lot of job hiring managers on LinkedIn that I'm connected with, unfortunately,
Mhm.
who use compliance as a I'm actually curious about that regarding what kind of compliance issue would warrant requiring the OSCP for something. I'm still
Mind
head
boggled,
scratchered about that.
baffled. So I think I don't know if it's a compliance thing unless you do like the
Yeah,
OSCP plus, because
yeah.
then you can get into the government sector, just like
Oh
the
yeah,
CEH, the security plus, and you can
yeah.
have DoD.
I the only I the CEH is the only other cert that I have, and I really don't really the only reason why I have it is because of Saddleback College paying for it. And yeah, it really is. There's no contest between the you go to the CEH, you go from the CEH to the CPTS, it's night and day.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I did the same thing when I was at WGU, right? I did
yeah,
all like the
yeah.
CEH, CHFI, ECSA,
Mhm.
LPT, which is license penetration tester.
Western
Did all the,
Governors is where you went to school?
yep,
Nice.
exactly. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So cool. So we touched on that. We touched on some job stuff. And what about like conferences? Do you have any conferences on your agenda for 2025? Have you been to any
Um,
conferences?
I hope to make DEF CON 33 my first one.
Mm,
I may it's gonna have to. I've got I'm still waiting on some scholarship funds to finance that, but
love it. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And so you never even went to like any like local B-sides or any local meetups, any local
I
conferences?
plan. Well, I've been so busy that I've missed a lot of the announcements. Unfortunately, for I was had I heard about B Side San Diego last year, I probably would have gone in March. I'm gonna be doing some as far as I heard I know there's like one up in LA that I hope to go to as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And I can hook you up with some people
Yeah.
in LA. I have some
Mhm.
friends in LA,
Yeah.
so I can
Nice.
introduce you guys,
Yeah.
and maybe you guys can
That,
nerd out there. But I
yeah.
think that's super cool, and I think
Yep.
making it out to DEF CON is
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
definitely be a good
Good
thing to
idea.
do.
Yeah. I hope
So
it's
yeah,
like
so
I
you
said, it's a
post a
big,
lot. Go
sorry.
ahead. No,
So
what?
yeah, like I said, it's a big up in the air because I'm still waiting on. I did get an award. Like I said, I do have a $4,000 scholarship. I'm still waiting for the check to come. So
Gotcha,
because I
gotcha.
did get it was in the award letter. So yeah,
Nice, nice, dude. That's awesome. So I wanted to touch on a little bit of like, because you're pretty active on LinkedIn.
mainly I'm kind of on the front lines trying to explain things regarding the whole cost versus how much bang for your buck does each cert offer, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so did you go for, that's another thing I wanted to ask you for the CPTS. You went with the whole 490, right? The silver annual, or did you do some, or how did you finance the CPTS in that case? Because I know
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. So the CPTS, I bought the
Oh yeah,
coins or whatever.
Yeah.
The little coin, or whatever they're called.
The cubes. Yeah.
Yeah, the cubes, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I did for CAPE, but for CPTS I didn't have to because of the student membership.
Exactly.
I did the $8 a month student plan, and then I just paid for the voucher.
Exactly. Now I have that, but before I didn't have it. Because I didn't even think about it, and then I ended up going with my student one. And so that's what I pretty much did. I just paid for the cubes and then just paid the $210 for the exam.
Nice. How much did you have to use for the cubes? Like, was it like also another 2 something?
And pretty much what I did for.
Oh, sorry. Oh, are you? Your sound looks like you're breaking up. Are you? Yeah. How's that?
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yep.
I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah. So what I was saying about the CPTS and even the CBBH, like those, I was able to do that with CBBH. I was able to do it with the student one.
Nice.
And then now the CAPE one, I'm going through it slowly. And then I did the SOC one,
the CDSA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't taken the exam, but I went through the whole path. It was pretty cool.
Royal path. Yeah. I hope to do. After they do have the AI, if they do have the AI red team now, which that's another one that I'm looking to possibly go into after I complete CAPE.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. So I wanted to touch on a little bit like about you were saying like your networking on LinkedIn. Like what have you been doing on LinkedIn to get recognized, and what is it that someone can utilize and leverage on LinkedIn? Like, what is LinkedIn all about?
So LinkedIn is basically if you think about if Indeed and Facebook had a baby, essentially that's what LinkedIn is. It's kind of like a social network / job board in one.
Like that.
And I've been, it is a lot of people mostly use it for like kind of developer kind of positions, but you can also be a bit more, edgy on there and stuff too. I mean, it's not all bad. I've had to connect. I've made some connections with a lot of insiders there. You submit a request, they accept it, or vice versa. I've actually gotten, and I have connected quite a bit with the platform in general. It's more just for enjoying, I want to call it like, as far as what you post on there, it's mainly the more more often than not, it's becoming like the new resume replacement if someone sees a LinkedIn profile, because you can showcase a lot. You can even post like articles of your own, like blog, like you could make it your own personal blog. You can also create LinkedIn pages that you can invite people to like and connect with. So
I think it's a massive platform that you can leverage, and people got it down to a science, right? Like people got that thing, like KevTech. If you ever heard KevTech or Kevin, he has it down to a science. He does his little selfie, his pretty pic, and he puts it on there. He writes his little whatever, and he gets 1 million fucking impressions, right? So everyone has their way, and I think leveraging that, especially even if you're working, because that's what people don't understand, or people don't maybe grasp. Like, oh, I'm working, I don't really need to post. But it's like just talking about your journey, whatever you're doing. Because I got some messages that like I got some interesting people that'll just DM me like, oh, like you're already working in the field, you're already been in it, like you're seasoned. Why do you need this attention, or why do you need like more whatever? I'm like, I'm not doing this for more things or whatever, because like I always say, and I've said this before, I can disconnect from this camera and never see anyone again, and I'm good. You know?
What about
someone like Kenny, or someone like the Stinger, or someone like Christopher Young, whatever, FedEx or Francisco or the cyber corner, whatever the fuck, whoever else, right? Like that's what it's for. It's not for me anymore. And that's what people don't understand. Like I'm so selfless, you know, like
yeah,
I care more about probably you than I care about myself. You know what I mean? I've been like that since I was a jit.
yeah.
So a little kid, whatever.
I
So
mean,
it's like that's just the way I am,
nice.
and leveraging these networks to share your knowledge and share your experiences, maybe that'll resonate with someone else, you know.
Kind of wants me to go into the next thing. So
Go ahead.
For those of you who may have seen my profile on LinkedIn, one of the first things you probably would have noticed is that resume PDF that's showing a JavaScript alert. I don't know if because that recently went viral on my LinkedIn, and I've got to tell you, it was fun exploring ways to do that.
That's awesome. And give a little insight, like why did you end up doing it? What sparked your interest with it, and how did you go about tinkering with it?
Basically as part of so I haven't had much success, unfortunately, with the platforms, but I have done a little bit of like looking for stuff on bug bounty platforms as kind of a side hustle. And one thing that I found, and one thing that I noticed is, and when I did so I went to recently, and this is actually the result of, as you probably may know, Pablo Diaz has kind of a sort of health database as a service kind of company that he's working on. I'm kind of he's like starting it up, and I'm kind of like his sort of head of security for the startup, so to speak. And one of the things that I found that he DM'd me on was, hey, it ended up being a big nothing burger anyway, but he told me about a PDF that he was sent that looked suspicious. So I did some research and discovered that, this ended up not being a case of that anyway, but I'm like, you can execute JavaScript just by encoding it in the PDF. So I thought, after I cleared that, after I found out that it was okay on his end, I then went on to Sentinel One. I did some more because that's where I found the article on it. Did some more research, discovered that you can actually use Ghostscript on Linux to add in JavaScript actions to a PDF, like when you open it or something. So that's basically what I did to then so I decided, okay, what better PDF to test this with than my resume, essentially.
Exactly. So you test in your own sandbox environment. You're like, oh shit, this is what's happening.
Yeah. Well, basically, except that in his case, it ended up being a legitimate, investment letter. It wasn't anything malicious. But I'm like, hey, why don't I be curious about why don't I? This is interesting because it'll come in handy for other areas.
Yeah, so you start doing malware analysis, reverse engineering, something to like tinker with the actual metadata of that file to see what's going on. And see if there's any maybe steganography using so there's so much stuff like.
Oh, I know.
I always make a joke, and probably a couple of these people will laugh, but I like to be the dummy on the internet, not really convey and showcase everything I know, because I don't want the finger be pointed at me. I like to be the dumb one. Like, oh, he's not. I don't expect that from that guy because he's a little bitch. But you guys gonna come knock at the door?
Yeah.
Knock knock. Who's there? Strap.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that's just an inside joke because I saw the knock knock because I see them because a couple of those people know where I live, so that's what. So all right, so we talked about conferences. What about like CTFs, right? Like.
Yeah,
I want to touch on that because you got you're active on Hack the Box. You're active.
I'm active mainly mostly on the Academy. I mean, I've been kind of putting off the main platform until I get really good at the Academy is the thing there.
So I think
Yeah.
I think the way you're doing it is obviously a good. Everyone has
Yeah.
their way of skinning a cat,
Yep.
right? But the way you're doing it is definitely will be more beneficial because
Yep.
I think the academy is actually harder
Yeah.
than just standalone machines.
Nice. Mhm.
So definitely, if you're going to jump into the the boxes, the standalone boxes, or the
I plan
machines.
to. Yep. I do hope to do. Like I said, I do hope to do some pro labs as Kate prep. I heard cybernetics is actually the one that a lot of people on the Hack the Box Discord recommend.
Yeah,
And so that'll be probably something I hope to do that probably in closer to the end of the Cape roll path. I want to say probably in like around like the second week of June, hopefully, because that'll be like right before the summer session starts.
yeah. And Chris Young, I'll explain the difference between the academy and the main platform.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
just I'll hit that up in about 10 minutes. I want to put a
All right.
star on that because that's an actual good one.
Oh yeah, good point. Oh, he has a question about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll answer in a bit.
Mhm.
Because like I said, in like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, we'll go through the questions and
Yeah.
rapid fire those.
Mhm.
So I have a hard stop because the Panther game is at 8 o'clock, and
Mhm.
I don't want to miss that.
Yeah. Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I'm a big hockey guy.
Oh, nice.
So thanks mucho de nada.
Mhm.
All right, so what other notes did I have? So you want to talk about entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
being in cybersecurity,
Yeah.
and like the importance of just
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur doesn't mean just making a lot of money. It's like
Yeah.
selling yourself. It's your own
Yeah.
brand. It's your own company. It's you. You're selling
Yeah.
you. People don't realize like you're an entrepreneur just interviewing yourself, right? You're selling yourself to a company.
Nice.
You're selling
Mhm.
yourself. So go ahead. So speak on that. Like, what is that
So
in your
what I
mind?
so what I went so I want to ask you, so out of all the do you know like how many of the industry insiders, I want to start this off with a question for you, the
Absolutely.
industry insiders, how many do, fellow pen testers do you know became successful by starting their own pen testing firm? Because that's basically what that note is about.
Yeah. So me personally,
Hmm.
the only person I know in the real world that
Hmm.
started their own firm is Heath
Yeah.
Adams from TCM.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, all the other folks that I know, I
Mhm.
guess, and obviously the
Nice.
Stinger,
Nice.
Glenn, he has his own firm as well. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people that I know that got into pen testing,
Yeah.
they merged into the world of hacking
Okay.
from like regular maybe either the blue team or just like being an IT or system engineer or network
Oh
engineer, and it sparked their interest to get into offensive security
yeah.
or
Okay.
or cybersecurity as a whole.
Hmm.
So yeah, me personally, I don't really know too many people that started their own thing from that I
Hmm.
personally know from like the ground up. Because like Heath, like he
Yeah.
was a pen tester, he was a accountant, whatever his
Mhm.
little road was, and then he became
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, right? Um, and off the top of my head, and I probably know other folks
Hmm.
um, that
Yeah.
that are entrepreneurs or whatever you want to call them. But
Do you know do you know how big a typical, because I've had interviews with pen testing with for pen testing jobs, and like I've noticed that most of the companies that do it are quite small. They're just like two to like 20 or 30 people, because it's what I heard, like when you're getting a letter of engagement and doing it that way, it's like a contract that you got to do. Is that true for most of the cases?
yeah, yeah. So you a lot of the firms,
Yeah.
unless you're working for like, for example, like I think we saw him in here. A friend, Paul. Is Paul here today? I don't know. I thought I saw him. Let me see. Let me go up. Oh yeah, he was there.
Perfect.
So like he works. He's a pen tester, but I'm not going to announce his company because I want to keep his company
Oh
on the
yeah.
DL. But like he's a pen tester, an in-house tester, right? So he
Mhm.
doesn't work for a firm.
Yeah.
But when it comes to working for a consulting firm like I did at
Yeah.
C3, I worked for consulting firm that we did offensive security and pen testing for. And then we didn't have a big team, right?
No.
We were, we didn't have a big team. And, we just, you do your kickoff call, you make sure you're same kind of things. You make sure you get what's in scope for the engagement, making sure like you don't go out of scope, because if you go out of scope, you can get a knock on the door. And, run that through the team, and just, make sure you allocate whatever tester is going to do that test. Because I convey this all the time. And my fellow CTFers or my fellow friends or even coworkers that I worked with, like mobile apps, web apps is not really my thing. That's nearly not or API testing. That's nearly not something I can tinker with some stuff. Maybe I don't give myself enough credit, but like I said, I like to be the dummy in the room. So, I just I stay away from that, but I just stay with what I'm good at and what I really know really well.
Yes, that would be like Active Directory was what you're good at, or?
Yeah, Active Directory, I'm decent at. It's weird, right? It's crazy because Home is not here today. My friend Home, I love him. I wish I would have seen him in Romania, but that's his nickname. That's his little internet name. But him, I thought before I worked, because I worked with him on his pen test team. And when I was like, I know Active Directory. I know pretty decent Active Directory. And you see someone like that, it's like, I'm dumb as a bag of rocks. Right? So it's like, he's the first one to do CAPE. He did it. He was the first one to ever. And then he did the CRTM. I think it's a Certified Red Team Master in 3 hours. He's on some other thing.
Is that also from is that 0 Point, or is it something else?
No, CRTM is from Altered Security.
Okay, yeah. So Altered, they have the
CRTP, Certified Red Team Professional.
Yep.
Yeah. So everyone has, but this is where when the comparison will, what is it, ruins your happiness or whatever the hell that saying is, right? Because I can compare myself even in the content creation space, right? And same thing with you, right? You're starting your YouTube channel. If you compare yourself to, for example, myself, right? If I compare myself to John Hammond or to someone like that, 2 million subscribers, 100 million subscribers, whatever, it's I'm never going to get there. But I'm just on my own journey. You know what I mean? I'm just doing my own thing.
Here.
Riding my own choo-choo train. And I love them all, but I don't give a fuck about them. You know what I mean? They can do their own thing. But,
I think HR though sometimes does do that with candidates, which sucks. But
I don't think so. And I guess a yes and no, right?
Okay,
so if you have a YouTube channel that you're just doing stuff like this, HR is not going to really care, right? Because we're not really showcasing. We're just talking shit for an hour.
Yeah, we're just talking.
Yeah, but if you're okay, Kenny's going to show how he embedded his JavaScript into this PDF, and it's oh shit, that's going to be, because now this guy can, if he gets a malicious, if Pat submits a phishing link or he reports a phish, and now you as a threat hunter or the pen test, whatever the hell you are, you can look at that, you can analyze it, and you understand what sandboxing is, Joe Sandbox or Recorded Future or
any run or something
any run
that.
Or Total Virus or Virus Total, whatever the fuck you're going to use, right? So now this person, not so much HR, but maybe the hiring manager, you can say, hey, I know this, that, and the other. I showcased it in my channel. You can go ahead and check out my channel, and it's video, this video, blah, 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 for this technique that we're talking about on this interview. But even if there's not something, say, for example, you're not good at Wi-Fi pen testing, for an example, right? And I'm actually going to be doing something with Wi-Fi.
Oh, really? Yeah. I've actually experimented with it using a home lab, and it's interesting to be able to be especially the things like deauthorization and stuff. I have seen I think Chuck's video on it, and Chuck Keith's video on it was certainly interesting, because I did follow along a little bit, but not much beyond that. That is definitely, I know that Hack the Box does have a few Wi-Fi modules I did a little of, but I'm gonna need some money for cubes to finish that one though, because most of the modules since those are all tier 3. So
exactly, Because with the student, I think it's only tier 1 and 2, right?
Yeah, I had to use a bunch of I had to use 7,000 cubes to get access to the K path.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as your Wi-Fi stuff, if obviously off camera, you can always hit me up, but it's very, very cheap. Just go get a cheap Panda, or you can go Alibaba, just get a Wi-Fi card just for a couple bucks. You don't have to go crazy with an Alpha and like a $60, $70 card. Like I have I think I have 7 or 8 cards, right? Different Alpha, different Panda, because Wi-Fi is my thing. I like Wi-Fi. And so what was I saying before? Oh, for an example, if I say, if hey, Kenny, we're interviewing for this pen tester role, you know about Wi-Fi pen testing.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I don't know, but I'm going to learn. And then tomorrow you're going to see a video of me, practicing on my home lab. And I'm going to go buy a router from Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Shitty router, just configure it, put it in your own lab, and just press record and, do it from soup to nuts, right?
Yeah.
Install your driver for your Wi-Fi card, your USB Wi-Fi card, and then do whatever LS USB, and then see, okay, like now my whatever my Realtek driver.
That is one of the downsides, is the fact is because we pen testers are using Linux for our you're using what are you using, Kali, or for your what OS do you use for it?
For Wi-Fi, I use Parrot.
Oh, Parrot. Okay, yeah.
For my Wi-Fi. That's only for Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But if I'm just doing like CTFs and pen testing, it's Kali all day.
Oh yeah.
But for Wi-Fi,
Parrot is better.
Parrot, everything's plug and play. Boom,
Okay.
plug it in.
Yeah.
And it just works. LS USB, boom, it just fucking recognizes.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know if you were aware of this, or you mentioned in your CPTS video, you mentioned that the Pwn box. I've actually researched enough to find out, and this is actually something really interesting, is that Hack the Box has become, in a way, to parrot what OffSec is to Kali.
Exactly.
They're actually the ones who are maintaining it. So and I actually found out that Parrot Hack the Box Edition, and actually InfoSec has some scripts, some Ansible rules that will let you convert Parrot OS Hack the Box Edition into basically as close to a Pwn box at home as you can get. And I have done that, which is fun.
Yeah, I think, but the point of what I'm saying is, if someone on the call or anyone in the stream tonight, and I've done it. I had there was an interview that I've done a while back that, I'm not good with Kubernetes, right? I was not that good. And I had to, download a Docker and pen test a Kubernetes thing. It's like,
wow,
holy shit. And then I had to write up what I found and all this stuff. And it's like, it's not something I'm doing every day.
Actually, and you've done a write-up on it? Yeah. That's a good
a write-up I can't share because this is during the hiring process for this company. So, I can't. That's why I'm not even saying the company, because what if someone's in it, they know it's
there's a lot of and since we're on camera, we don't want to share that information. That is definitely something that is worth noting.
Yeah, exactly. And so what that process, with that challenge or the assessment, I learned so much that I didn't know. And so I wanted to touch on one thing before we start getting into Q&A. So as far as CTFs, right? Or any kind of learning process, I want to ask you personally, do you learn by yourself better, or do you learn with a group of friends, you guys hack and share ideas?
I think there's certain things that there's certain aspects of it that I have done. I mean, I have done group. I actually have done the only real CTF platform that I've done with Saddleback College. We had the school had our own Cyber Skyline team that we have done with, but that we have done stuff for. But I'll be honest with you, going from from Hack the Box. So yeah, we did. And oh yeah, we mentioned. So did you this? We didn't answer. I don't think the person who asked about Hack the Box Academy versus the main platform.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just like a second because it's 7:40, so
Yeah.
we'll like start answering those questions. I'll go up in the list, but so
what I was gonna say is, but yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm basically gonna go from. Been waiting to join the main Hack the Box CTF platform until after finishing basically Cape and then going from there.
cool. All right,
So
awesome. Thank you for that. So let me start going. I want to go all the way up and
yeah,
I'll put the things on the screen. So I have read that as far as CTF. Can you guys elaborate on consider both essential? All right, so I want to put this one up there first.
Elaborate on considering both are essentially black. So you're talking about on considering you're considering black box. Is this related to what was this a question about? Like, you're talking about was this the CPTS versus
I don't know that just showed up. Like I've read this as far as from a CTF. Can you guys elaborate on considering both black types?
So what is this that you're talking about?
Yeah. From what I'm probably what I'm observing is maybe like a regular CTF, like Hack the Box. They just give you an IP address, and yes, it is a full black box. You just get an IP address and you go to town.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what it is. There's no like, if it's an active machine. If it's not an active machine, like each machine InfoSec comes out with his little walkthroughs.
Yeah.
And you can go ahead and go on that.
Yeah.
And good seeing you in B-side Tampa.
I guess,
Awesome seeing you too. This thing, happy Thursday, everyone. I was stuck considering halfway doing a CTF. Good to see you here. Good. That boy's always doing a CTF. FedEx, oh man, I don't know the place I didn't see. Okay, CTF time. Yeah. Okay. Hiring manager needs to take. Yeah. So I want to put this up from my buddy Paul. So hiring managers need to take charge of creating and writing up their own.
I completely agree, Paul. That is a very good point. I recognize him right away.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say. So how? Yeah. Do you know that is one thing one question I have. I'm curious to know how many job recs out there are AI generated.
Because I was a hiring manager for 6 years, probably a little longer than that.
Yeah.
And because for the pen test, when I was hiring pen testers, it's more like I would bring people in that I knew. But prior to that, I was, a network security engineer, and I was a lead. So then I would hire engineers. And so that, we would actually handwrite them, maybe because it was a smaller organization, maybe for the bigger orgs, maybe they just probably, I don't know, I can't speak on them, but like maybe they just probably say, okay, like I'm the hiring manager. We need someone that knows, Windows, Linux, networking, OSPF, EIGRP. I'm just talking about when I was a network engineer, or web apps or APIs or infrastructure pen testing, blah, 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 Bloodhound, Mimikatz, Burp Suite, or whatever the hell else. Like, so, and then, then the HR people put it all pretty, right? So, yeah.
So so you just basically dictated to the HR what you needed, and they kind of put it together. Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, would you? I'm curious to know how many of the HR people really don't know what it is that the job entails then.
Exactly.
Yeah, they kind of. Yeah, I guess that kind of explains why there's so much of a disconnect. Yeah. I think there's a bigger skills gap between HR and hiring management than there is between candidates and hiring management.
Absolutely.
Especially in this field.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And John Smith, TCM is in general is pointless.
Yeah, I bet. No, I wouldn't say that. Would you?
I wouldn't say it's completely pointless,
No.
right? Like, but if you're saying, oh, like I never heard of TCM, I was always on Hack the Box, I did my CBTS, like we were saying
Yeah.
before, yeah,
Yeah.
then it's pointless. But if
Okay.
you're someone that's young in the game,
Mhm.
just getting your feet in the door,
Yeah.
doing your
I would
PJ,
say for a complete newbie, it isn't.
yeah, exactly. The PJPT was actually pretty fun too. Like,
Nice.
and it teaches you,
Hmm.
you're not going to use advanced tools. You're not going to be using bloodhounds. You're not going to be using all
Yeah.
these advanced techniques. It's a very simple
Yeah.
task, but it makes you think. You have to write a report.
Hmm.
You have to do that whole
Yeah.
process. But this PMPT, I think, is even better because, than PJPT, because then at the end of it, you do like a debrief of the remediation.
Nice.
Like, oh, like this person doesn't have
Yeah.
this, that, and the other, and then you can just talk
I
to
do,
them.
I do like the idea of a live debrief. Actually, that is one thing that I think that I think could be. I think that is one unique aspect of from what I heard about TCM.
Absolutely.
But is that unique to them in particular, or do you know of any other certs that do that?
No, they're the only ones. I think a lot of like, for an example,
Mm-hmm.
I think like like OSCP or
Yeah.
even CPTS, like there's so many people doing these
Yeah.
certs, right? It's a lot of staff to like, okay,
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
all these people completing this, then you have to set up a debrief. That
Yeah.
delays that process.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason. Like it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not in their shoes, so I have no
Yeah.
idea.
I don't know either. Yeah.
James, I have zero security search and experience, and need a degree as well as SANS undergrad, a good program. So I'll put this one up here just for shits and giggles. So James, like, I never did any SANS courses. I don't know how their undergrad program is, but depending on how deep your pockets are, like
Mm-hmm.
obviously
Oh
I would
yeah.
always start from the bottom. Like do your security plus, do your hands-on stuff, do your CTF, set up your labs. And me personally, like I'm not going to go spend 10 grand on a
Yeah,
course.
Sans is if Sans is even worse than OffSec in terms of their how much they charge you. And that is one thing. I'm still in community college. Okay, I haven't even gone from a community. I haven't even transferred yet. That's still a year away. Um,
Mhm.
and yet still this far, having gotten this far through Hack the Box with that is a big feat in and of itself. Wouldn't you agree, Pat?
Yeah, 1000%, 1000%.
Yeah.
All right, so let's try to get through these things because we have 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. They were just talking to each other. LinkedIn is following. What InfoSec is doing. File alerts.
Anyone?
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate you, man. I just
Okay.
speak my mind and speak from my experience. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation. Just trying to be like Miss. No, you don't want to be like me, dude. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little fucking cuckoo.
Mm.
But just kidding. The real people that know me in the real world know I'm a little
Wow.
a little uh, little different, but
Mm.
in a good way, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a new virtual business card, FedEx. That's definitely true. I think he's talking about a LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you if you disconnected, I know where to
Wow.
find you. Networking helps. Yeah, exactly. Networking to help
Mm.
folks on projects. It's very exciting. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Nothing burger and cheese. The singer and I be knocking on your door. Knock knock. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
guess
Sting. I'll
that's.
check it out. I knew it. I knew Mr. InfoSec was brilliant. No, I'm not that brilliant.
Mm.
I'm just chilling.
Mm.
So, my bad. Kind of bored at work. Shake my head. No, you're good, man. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation. Great talk, guy. Thanks, Insight.
Yeah.
I want this. So, all right. So let's see this one. Whoops. Um,
Great talk.
so go ahead.
Okay, so some try hack me learning. Do you recommend going for the? Yeah, abs. So based on because of how much bang for your buck it gives you. Absolutely, there's nothing else that gives you as much as the CPTS for as little money as what it costs, what it charges you. You go for the OSCP. It's going to be like more than like 5 times as expensive for for maybe half the learning, if at all. You know, you're learning
You get like maybe the quarter of the learning.
maybe a quarter of a learning, which is that's what you when you before they updated. Now, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you've got maybe half the flags for the OSCP, from what I heard, and how much you said you did it before they put the plus on it. How much was it? That was like maybe
It was
not
5 standalone machines.
5 standalone machines. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're having a and they're much more legacy, right? Basically, yeah. So that's the thing with the CPTS. Everything it's whereas with the OSCP, as Pat mentioned, he can probably go into it more. But there's like five. There's like one exploit and you're done. It's compromised.
Mm-hmm.
So with the CPTS, you've got to chain everything. You got maybe 10, 20 steps. I'm not going to go into any exact details, but it's in the ballpark. Each machine is like that long. And so that's what makes the CPTS why you need 10 days for it. Because you're going to trust me. It does catch up on you.
Yeah. 1,000%. And want to get to Chris's thing now. So I don't understand the difference between the academy. So can you, and you go first and I'll give my insight.
So Hack the Box has two different, so they have academy.hackthebox.com, and then we have what he said was app.hackthebox.com. So Academy is where you go to get the certs, where you study for, they have like, everything is more guided. Like they have a full, like, it's where you go to study for the CPTS or the CAPE or whatever, the job role paths and everything else. That's the academy. The main platform is basically, it's where you have the boxes, the machines, the pro labs and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
it's funny. I just saw Chris, MMA holes. Chris, I was in I don't know if he's still here, but if you are, like, I was in New York. I was with Uncle Jason, and we were talking about you when I was in New York. I don't know if he's here still. That's when he went like this, Mamma Mia fucking guy. So let's see. There's a blah, blah. You like Bloody AD? Yeah, I like Bloody AD.
Oh, absolutely. It is fun to, I believe, late in the Cape roll path, it actually is used.
Yeah.
If you get to, are you at what module are you up to in the Cape path?
Oh man, I don't have to go check. I don't even remember.
Okay, yeah, because I know when you got to, I believe it's DACL attacks. Bloody AD is used in those modules in those two. So yeah, that is something to note.
Chris, I never want to face a professional blue teamer. Blah, blah, blah. Real talk. I had a firm tell me that they wouldn't bother interviewing until I had several CVEs. Do I really need those to get hired? Should I avoid firms that? All right. So I want to put this out here, Chris. Obviously, I have 0 CVEs. I guess CVEs, I guess, are good. But in my opinion, like, man, how can I say this in a good way? Like, I'm not going to go do something and get like, I don't need to prove myself. You know what I mean? I don't need to like, oh, I have a CVE. This is mean I know what I'm doing, because I have people that was like super CVE, like super easy CVEs that they just found like a simple cross-site scripting or local file inclusion or whatever. Something so simple. It's like, oh shit, like how did they, super simple, and then they got a CVE for it. So it's like, yeah, you have those low-hanging fruit ones, like, first come, first serve. So yeah, I would definitely avoid them. Like I remember people saying I needed X certification or I needed this experience to be on their team.
Yeah.
And we don't all know it all, right? Like we all have our niche, we all have our expertise, and we all have what we're interested in, right? It's not about what you want me to do. Like I don't know. I think someone said I'm a little different, right? Like I don't care what I'm applying
Yeah.
someplace because if I feel like I'm gonna succeed,
Hmm.
and just before I apply for any job, this is my advice: like do some due diligence, do some
Yeah.
reconnaissance on them, and make sure there's no dickheads on the team because, like you
Yeah.
said, like, the word gets around. I think Dan said this when we were at beside Tampa. There's like three levels. I don't know. Dan's probably
Yeah.
not watching this, but there's like the cool guys, the not the medium guys, and then
Yeah.
fuck that guy,
Wow.
right? You don't want to be that fuck that guy, right? So I don't know if Dan you ever watched this. Correct me how you said it. He
Wow.
said it a lot
So
better.
yeah, I'm and so I hope to that's another thing regarding conferences. What kind of you local you mentioned besides Tampa, are you kind of local to that or
Yeah, I'm about an hour and a half
nice.
from I'm in Orlando.
Nice. That's pretty that Florida is the one state that after graduation I would relocate to basically because the climate is warm enough.
Yeah, it is pretty warm. If
Yeah.
you ever want to come out here, let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in, like I said, I'm in in SoCal. I'm actually in South Orange County, Aliso Viejo.
Yeah.
And down here, I mean, it is the same like USDA
Mm.
hardiness zone, but it's a different, overall climate altogether in a sense that it's drier, basically.
Yeah,
But
Chris is like only Active Directory proof InfoSec Pat is a
yeah,
professional digital
yeah,
door kicker.
nice. I
I
bet
like I
like
can kick a door.
yeah. So what's the market like over? Because I know the market here is a lot different than the market there. I bet.
Yeah, hold that question. Let me just go
Wow.
through these and then we'll answer that. Let me see what else is cooking. Oh, thank you, Glenn. I'm gonna get my fix on.
Mm-hmm.
My green teas academy, blah blah. I want to see what the hell did yeah, Chris. Well, there's multiple Chris's. MMA holes.
Mm-hmm. What you?
You're a real New Yorker, and they are a little different. Yeah, MMA holes is a New Yorker too, so you better watch out.
My mom is my mom was born and raised on Staten Island, so I know what that's like. I've met a lot of them.
Yeah, James, what is 0 point? Sorry, I missed out. Is that good? So 0 point is just another company that offers a certification and training for red
Nice.
teaming.
Yeah.
What niche is offensive security do in a plan?
Oh, you want to? Is that for that question for me? Niches and absolutely. So I would say definitely Active Directory. I'm going to try it. Like I said, I want to try to after for Pro Labs, I want to try to do cybernetics before CAPE and then alchemy after, because I heard that Active Directory is kind of a stepping stone to like you go to a lot of SCADA control panel, like you have a Windows machine that is controlling all of the PLCs that has like a piece of software that manages them all, and that is domain joined from what I've heard. And so Active Directory then is kind of like a pivot point into OT, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal because if someone can move laterally through AD and then compromise a machine that is managing all of that, all of those industrial control systems, oh man, that's a finding that needs to be reported for sure.
Yeah. All right. Blah. Nice tweets here. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Can't believe I didn't go. Oops. Florida has some nice. Yeah, Florida does have a lot of
Oh yeah,
meetups.
nice.
Blah.
I hope to, like I said, I hope to go to B-side San Diego in next year as well, because that's a bit closer to where I'm at.
So let's see. What is Chris saying? Fucking busting my balls.
Oh, yeah.
Closing question. How do we InfoSec Pat as hard as InfoSec?
Oh, wow.
Fucking guy.
Nice. All right.
So Central Florida has a lot of network meetups, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So FedEx, we have to start linking up more. So, hit me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so any last words, Ken? Like you want to tell the people?
I've got my own. I'm going to actually, you want to put the link, I'm going to give Pat the link to my channel.
Yeah, put it in there. I was trying to say, how can people connect with you? If you have a Discord server, if you have your LinkedIn, however they can hit you up, so they can ask you any questions.
I'm gonna do. Wait a second. I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna do. So I just put that link, that YouTube link, in my channel if they want to. In the description if they want to subscribe. I've got a CPTS video there already.
Awesome.
And then hit me up on LinkedIn. Sorry, we're a little over time. I'm gonna. I've got my.
We're good. You're good.
Yeah, hopefully. I've got to. Here, I'm gonna go switch chat tabs a little bit here to do that. But yeah, if you guys want to hit up. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my YouTube channel. Sorry if I have to grab it a little bit.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine.
Yeah. I'm going to go to my account. There we go. View your channel. I'm going to go videos. Latest. There we go. I'm going to share the CPTS review video that I got there. So paste that in. Where's the, okay. Paste that in. You should see that in the, so that's my first, basically the start, because I do have older videos on the channel that are about basically other things. That's really the first strictly cybersecurity video, and that's where that's kind of the start of where it's transitioning over to what I'm doing now.
Nice.
I bet another thing. So physical pen testing, that is another thing I also want to get into to answer Paul's question as well. Because I heard that, because I actually, for 3 years, this is actually a funny story regarding, and I think this is one thing that people want to be careful of, is for 3 years, I was before I basically went back to school, kind of during COVID, I was a gig delivery driver. If people see someone with a DoorDash bag, oftentimes you'll get let right in. And I noticed that's something that needs to be addressed as well. Or in the case, I've also done, Amazon Flex. If you're wearing a vest, it's like, oh, got to be careful of that,
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right. So, I want to drop now. I appreciate everyone's top of the hour. I want to thank you all. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. Have a long weekend. Go Panthers. Yeah, now I want to go put my my Panthers shirt on and go rock out. All right. So much love, everyone, and have a beautiful evening.
You too.
Take care.